welcome to Mind Shift. We have a special guest with us today.
Yeah, but we're making a mind shift.
We are making a mind shift.
This is a breakthrough. This is
a mental breakthrough and a physical breakthrough.
For years, Aaron has been asking for us to have guests, and I've always been the one who resisted. I said, he's our guest, I'm our guest. But Jake Goss is our first guest.
Hello.
This is a special moment. Jake Goss, you were my brother-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
You were also the son of Susan and Steve Goss, who I love dearly, brother of Chad, father of Juno, drummer in a little band called LANY.
LANY,
Yes.
but most importantly, husband to Mariah.
I was going to let you do that.
The magnificent.
Drum roll it.
Yes.
Well, if anyone should be doing a drum roll, it should be him.
It should be him. Yeah, let's not.
Drums are back there.
The drums are those your drums? Those are your
That's
drums.
my comfort zone. I'm nervous up here.
You look a little nervous.
No, you look awesome.
Gotta loosen it up.
Thank you so much for being our first guest.
Thanks for having me.
We were waiting and like kind of, you know, to get on set, and you were like, you know, maybe I could go now. Or I think we were making jokes, and I forget that, you know, talk to us about that. It's so easy for you, or it looks easy for you, or you make it look easy to just play drums in front of tens of thousands of people. But an interview makes you a little nervous.
Oh yeah, public speaking, and also I think when you're talking with people that, in my opinion, are the greatest communicators in the world.
Oh, thank
so
you.
I'm like, I hope I can keep up. But
No.
I've clocked in a lot of hours behind the kit. Public speaking, not so much.
So do you feel nervous when you're playing the drums in LANY on a stage?
It's really funny when we play big shows. Very nervous. When we play small shows, that's my wheelhouse. And I think it's because I went to school in Nashville, and I played a lot of clubs out there, little smaller clubs, cafes, and jazz combos. And so I just loved playing in small settings. And then when these shows get bigger, my palms get a little sweatier. And it's so funny because it's a different for my bandmate, Paul. He loves the big ones, and the small ones, he's like, oh, these make me really nervous. But I don't, something about the bigness to it, just I'm like, there's a lot of people here, and I don't want to let them down, so my hands are sweaty.
Well, think of this as a little, you know, smoky speakeasy nightclub, because there's only three of us right now.
There's only three of us.
I'll do my best.
And don't even think about the thousands upon thousands of people that will hear this.
I knew that was coming.
They're not in the room. They're just gonna watch it later. They have no say in this as of right now. So it's just us, the three of us, and Austin in the back. So, you know.
I kind of want to go backwards
Okay.
because, you know, being your father-in-law,
Yes.
being the dad to Mariah, who you married, I think every father's nightmare is their daughter's going to want to marry a drummer.
Absolutely. Rightly so.
Let's just go right there. And so when Mariah, you know, told me about you, and you're living with some guys, and so, you know, the prospects looked very desperate. A drummer living with a bunch of guys in LA pursuing a dream.
Yes.
And even though I encourage everyone to pursue a dream, I didn't mean the guy that's going to marry my daughter.
Yeah, you don't want that man to have a dream.
Like, I don't want you to pursue a dream, I want you to pursue a career. But frankly, when I heard you play the drums, and I realized how extraordinary you were, I was super comfortable. And obviously I was really comfortable once I got to know you. Once I met you, I felt like you're just the most kind, gracious, loving person.
Thank you.
I'm only laughing because you really are, but I'm just thinking I'm just like watching your face going, once we realized you were so talented, we were like, oh, we're good.
No,
we're good.
It's not because of that. It's because I could see the discipline and the hard work and the commitment to excellence. And I just really believe that when a person has that in any area, that there's something really special about them. I just want you to go back, if you would, and like, for everyone who doesn't know, just give us a little bit of backstory. How did you end up becoming a drummer?
No. Before we go there,
What?
I want to hear Jake Goss's origin story.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, not about his drumming, about his humanity.
Oh, okay.
Where are you from?
Well, first, thank you for saying that, and thank you for seeing through my crazy mustache I had when I met all of you guys.
You did.
That
You
thing
did.
was just, oh my gosh. So thank you.
It was heavy.
Wasn't it November though?
It might have been, but I wasn't even a part of the no shave November thing. I was just being crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
The mustache did make me a little nervous.
It was a little crazy.
Yeah.
So thank
It
you.
was intense.
Okay.
Okay, so wait, I just want to alter it a little
backstory.
bit, because I think that's part 3,
Yeah.
right? You're not just a drummer. You're a human being.
Yes.
Where are you from? Walk us through this. How did you get to LA?
I'm from Bentonville, Arkansas. Go Hogs! Shout out. I was gonna make some football comment because we're 1-2 right now, but
That's kind of good for you
SEC
guys.
football. Hey, come on now. Come on now.
Wow,
We are. I'm just kidding. But we
got
are
a little heated there. That's good. That's good. I love that.
We are North Carolina fans because of you, but we are also Arkansas fans because of you.
But we both go through mutual misery of our teams underachieving.
It's true, and I'm excited for. I mean, football's crushing right now.
We're 4-0 right now.
There you go.
That's good. All right, so you're from Bentonville.
So I'm from Bentonville, Arkansas, home of Walmart, shout out. And so growing up, my parents are awesome. I have an older brother who has no musical talent at all. He just loves country music and stuff. So what's up, Chad? But growing up, I started, let's see here. I was 11 when I saw the movie That Thing You Do.
Oh.
And at that time, my brother was 14, I guess, and he was going to youth group at church. And so the combination of kind of going to be able to hang out with my brother at youth group with the older guys as the younger bro, and the movie That Thing You Do. After I saw that movie, I was like, I want to play drums. Because at youth group, the drummer was cool. He was nice to me. And then I saw that movie and I was like, ooh, I think I want to play drums. So I asked my parents for a drum set and they got me one for my birthday.
Wow.
And I think one thing that was really cool is immediately they got me with a teacher, and versus just like kind of figuring it out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So they hired this guy named Kevin Bonner, shout out Kevin Bonner. And he would come to our house like once a week, and he would bring a drum set too. And the first lesson, he was like, so are you right-handed or left-handed? And I was like, left-handed. He's like, okay, so we're going to switch the kit around, which is another thing. A lot of people play differently because they weren't told, if you want to play like proper left-handed, let's go ahead and swap the kit so it looks completely different. I was like, okay. And so he was a great starting point for me at drums, just to like learn technique and just kind of the history of what a drum set looks like. So that's when I was 11. And I've kind of been obsessed ever since. That's 25 years. And at that point, I had like my three best friends, Jeff, Jordan, and Grayson. And we started a band called Very Special Guests.
Cool.
And I look back on those memories and years so fondly because that's where I developed a pure love for music and for a band of brothers. Because we studied bands like U2, Pearl Jam, Chili Peppers, just a group of guys that have a goal to make amazing things and make people feel something. And we just had that. I remember our lead singer, Jordan, when we would practice at my house, my parents let us practice at our house. Thank you, Mom and Dad. He would hang from a light fixture on the couch thinking he was Bono. And I was like, I love that I had people like that early on in my life that have so much passion for me to just be around. So that kind of set the tone for me, like wanting to be in a band and like go play big shows and things like that. So I practice all the time, and my great aunt worked at Belmont in Nashville, Tennessee, in the musical theater department. And my mom and her talk a lot, and she knew that I was really interested in drums. And so she's like, I think you should have Jake come out to Nashville and maybe study with some of these instructors at Belmont. And my mom was like, okay. So my mom would drive me every spring break and every summer, because that's when I had a break in school. And I get about 4 drum lessons from this guy, Chester Thompson, who was Phil Collins' drummer.
Wow.
And so that was starting in 8th grade when I started going to Nashville every year, twice a year. And I just studied with Chester, and he would record all of our lessons so I could listen back, and my voice was higher than my mom's in 8th grade. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, everything's great, thanks.
Do you still have those?
I do.
Oh,
they're
my
crazy.
goodness. I can't wait.
So I started, since 8th grade, I would go there twice a year, and I was like, this is what I want to do forever. And I love learning from the greats. And so I kind of just knew I wanted to be in Nashville and hopefully at Belmont. And so I got accepted and ended up living in Nashville 10 years. And that's where I met my bandmate, Paul. And now I've been here 10 years. I don't know if that's a good answer.
Okay, so before you were 11, what did you want to do?
Good question. I have no idea. I honestly thought tornadoes were cool. I don't know what year Twister came out,
Yeah.
But
I
I was
remember that.
obsessed with the movie Twister.
Okay.
And like in class, and they'd be like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I'm like, I think I want to be a storm chaser.
Wow.
That's a great idea.
And I don't know what that was, but
I love that.
yeah, other than that, you just would play in the dirt and go to movies in Arkansas. There was nothing else to do.
Yeah,
I have a question for you real quick.
Yeah.
So you said you were in an old band,
Yes.
and what was it called again?
Very special guests.
Do you guys ever do any reunions?
We did last year.
Did you?
Wow.
It was like a 20-year reunion.
No way.
Yeah.
You're our very special guest. That's kind of
You
Thank
are
you.
a very special guest.
Thank you.
That's very funny.
We did. We would grow up. We just played clubs in like Fayetteville, where University of Arkansas is. We'd play like the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. slot.
Did you do covers or did you write your own music?
Both.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did a lot of James Brown covers. So I love funk music because we
That's
love
so
James
good.
Brown. That's just a side note, but yeah,
That's amazing. I love that. How was the reunion show?
hilarious and perfect. And honestly, we all just like, we need to do this more. For me, because I haven't played like that in a while, because that was just 4 hours of just going nuts. And now it's like a little more tasteful. And I don't know, it's just like Paul and I have this, we just like, I don't know, there's just a different mindset because it's like a lot riding on
Yeah.
it, and it's like our career and it provides, so we like want to do a really great job. VSG just like an explosion. And I was like, I need to tap back into this kind of playing because
That's
I felt
really
like a
cool.
little rusty. So it was fun.
That's amazing.
Wow.
You had a question.
Now I'm just trying to think how do we have a guest appearance of a very special
Very
guest.
special
I know.
guest. No,
They
no,
are
I'm just-
awesome.
this is like it actually works so well with we're gonna title it "Very Special Guest."
Oh,
Jake Goss.
perfect.
It just
That's
makes so
perfect.
much sense.
I love that. So wait a minute. Did you write any of the music?
Yes.
All right, so give me a lyric
Oh yes.
from Very Special Guest from the song.
Be your friend and I'll be your friend.
Be your friend and I'll be your friend.
And what was the name of that song?
Artificial intelligence. It was about robots.
How perfect is that now?
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
With everything going on in the
Crazy.
world.
We wrote it we were in a van on our way to Bonnaroo, just like 6 of us blaring music in traffic for like 9 hours.
Oh man.
And we just kind of wrote that song together. And I thought, I'd be your friend, I'll be your friend.
Is that why you quoted it a little bit robotic?
Maybe so.
Is that a robot?
Jordan definitely didn't sing it robotic. He sang it like it was at Madison Square Garden.
He's passionate. He's passionate. Okay, so
Wow.
being a touring musician and now making that your livelihood, it's your job, it's your profession, it's what you do. You just got back from a little run in Asia.
Yes.
How many dates did you guys do?
We did, great question. I'm so bad with numbers. Paul and Rupert, our
You
manager.
can give a rough.
I think we did
should
like
have more.
I think we did like 13 shows and we were gone like a month.
But Asia's a unique one, right? Because it's not as close together as everyone imagines. So
Yeah.
some flights are 9 hours, some flights are 1 hour, some flights are. It must be. How is that being on tour?
I love Asia.
Yeah.
And
Shout out some of the cities you were in.
so we started in Hong Kong.
Wow.
Incredible. I think maybe my top 2 are Tokyo and Seoul.
Oh.
I love Seoul.
Cool.
And like, I know you guys love fashion and just the fashion there. Just like, I love my favorite thing in a city is just to get out with no agenda until I have to be back for an obligation and just walk. I love step count. So I remember in Tokyo, I think I clocked in 36,000 steps.
Wow.
So that was like, I think 16 miles
Wow.
and just the best little day off.
What does a day look like on tour?
For me,
Yeah.
let's see here. A day off, my dream day off is I wake up, I'm very introverted too. So a lot of the team, it's like we all got to meet up at this certain spot and go to this next spot together. And I'm not like that. I'm like, okay, I'm picking a coffee spot. And so I'm going to walk to that coffee spot that looks awesome, or that Mariah's like, go to this spot. And I'm like, ooh, I kind of feel like Mariah's with me. So I'm going to go to this spot. And then I just start walking and just walk forever. And then, but the best thing is when we all meet up for like a team dinner
Okay.
or something like that.
So then you have something to like end your day with.
Yeah.
That you can do. You can have your freedom during the day.
Yeah. But that's just a day off. A normal day is usually wake up, go get breakfast, work out at the hotel, walk around for a little bit, and then go to sound check. And from there, it's the show. Typically.
And
But
then
Asia, yeah, it's usually travel day, show day, travel day, show day.
travel day show.
So it goes by a little quicker,
yeah,
which is nice.
that's nice.
So like Mariah and Juno, we're crushing it that month, and then it kind of goes by quicker when we're flying every day. So the ones when we're in a tour bus, I don't sleep well in tour buses, so that one goes by slowly.
Yeah, that's it. Because you basically, once you finish the show, you're going to the tour bus afterwards, and then you're driving through the night to the next location.
Yep.
For the most part, right? And then can you just feel the road? Is that like when you're sleeping? Like, is that?
Yes.
Are they usually like 3-story bunks?
So usually 12, but we're about to do Europe and UK, and there's 16 bunks, double decker.
Wow.
So there's gonna be a lot of dudes.
That's
up in that
an
bus.
introverted nightmare.
Yeah. Luckily, I love our team and our crew.
Yeah. But they can't be easy.
It's a lot. Yeah.
You have a lot of. It's got to be like a lot of just personalities in the same room. How do you and your guys stay sane?
I kind of love it. I love every different kind of person, and it's just like Paul and I have such an amazing opportunity to like be the like leaders in our group.
Yeah.
And so I just love getting to know each guy and how some of them are so different. And even like you were talking yesterday about atheists. We have a guy that's like starch atheist, and I'm just like, dude, you have so much characteristics of Jesus in you. And he's like, no, I'm like, if I stepped in church, I'd like catch on fire.
I always love that one.
I know.
I
love, we have so many different personalities and walks of life. And I do love that. Like, I'm an introvert, like on a day off, but like when we're at a show and in a venue, I love just hanging with our peeps.
They're
cool. Awesome.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
I don't know if that answered the question.
No, it does. It does.
Okay.
I'm curious. Like, I've always wanted to know what it's like to go on tour.
Yeah.
But because 99% of what you do is not playing the show.
I definitely wake up and I'm like, I wish it was 9 p.m. so I can play drums right now. The waiting gets hard sometimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, Paul and I just like live for it. We just love it. So.
Because the shows are late. They're late at night,
usually 9, like 9 to 10:30.
Okay.
Depends.
So what's the longest show you guys have played?
Ooh, longest show.
Like, is it 2 hours?
Maybe like an hour and 45, because we usually have like a set list that's pretty set when we go into a tour. But with like VSG, we would just go off the cuff. We'd have a here's the program, and then we just kind of be like, we're adding this and we're adding that. And here we build a set with like lighting and everything, so it's kind of set.
Sure.
And it's usually like around an hour and 45.
Do you ever feel tired playing the drums in the middle of the concert?
No, not really.
You never feel tired? So you just have energy all the way through to the end?
I really do usually.
Yeah, sorry, are these the questions okay?
Oh,
I love getting inside your head, because these are this is the best thing.
These are things I've always wanted to ask.
I've always wanted to ask you, but when we hang out, it's like, during COVID, it was the longest we've ever been able to hang out consistently, because you were off tour, obviously, for a large chunk of that. And since you and Mariah got married, you've been touring pretty heavily since I've known you, which is pretty amazing, because it's so cool that you're a professional musician. But also when you're trying to get to know someone, it's like, goodness, my man's gone for 6 months at a time. And then we get these concentrated amounts of time where we get to hang out with you, but it's like no one wants to ask you about your work, because it's like, man, you just spent 6 months doing this 24/7.
It is hard for me to want to come home and just tell Mariah about all the work stuff.
Yeah.
So sometimes she's like, I didn't know that was happening. Why didn't you tell me that? I was like, oh, sorry. Because sometimes I just like don't want to talk about me, because it's such a selfish journey, like being in a band, like our schedule. It's just like, there's just so much. And that's like probably the hardest part, the balance, and like how, if like, especially because I'm in it with someone, it's not just me. It's like a bandmate, we got a crew. So it's like, here's like a tour schedule, but we talk about it with our booking agents and like, let's take this time off, let's have bigger chunks. That's like, what I like. I live on our on our sheets, our Google sheets, to figure out, can we make this longer of a gap after this country? Because we did in 2019, we did 100 shows in 6 months.
Wow.
And there's a few of us that was our breaking point. For me personally, it was Mariah came out to Hawaii, because we ended in Hawaii, which you think, oh dude, you're so lucky. And I just like broke down after the last show. And I was just trying to figure out, like, where did that come from? And I remember I was like, I just got to tell Paul and Les that I'm feeling this way. And Les was like, that is crazy. I broke down the same day to my wife. And then our front of house guy, I'll go back a little bit. Before Hawaii, we did Jakarta. And Jakarta's crazy. And
that was a unique show, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were going to play 2 nights, but the stage wasn't safe enough. So they had to rebuild the stage. So we had to cancel night 1 and do a matinee and a proper headline the next day. So 2 shows in one day.
Wow.
Jeez.
And our front of house guy, Alex, stayed overnight to like monitor everything and make sure everything was good and safe for us to walk on stage. And after Hawaii, he went to the hospital from exhaustion.
Wow.
And so we were like, let's just rethink about how to do this sustainably, and where everyone's not just like going to a breaking point. Let's like figure out how we can do this better.
Well, I think it's really interesting, right? Because one, I want to ask you more about Jakarta, but you guys, you know, you obviously your bandmates. It's you and Paul now, and you got a great crew that plays with you. But you guys are musicians, artists, but then also like CEOs of a company.
Yeah.
That you're having to like manage employees, hire and fire, make sure everyone's okay, work with your team. How is that part of, like, how do you guys find that part of doing, like, you know, running the business versus being the artist, musician, and like the talent, you know?
It's crazy. There's not my wheelhouse right there. and that's why I love this, because I've just got so much to learn. And I like love podcasts. I love reading books. Like I just read Unreasonable Hospitality.
Isn't that wonderful?
I feel like that changed a lot of things already in our team. Like, how can we be like that and go above and beyond? But yeah, it's just important to know. I remember one time I forget who I heard. It was an actor that's married to an actress, and she was asking like, hey, there's this movie coming out. He's like, just hop on the call with the business managers so you can just absorb what they're saying, like legally. And he's like, okay. So it's like, I love that. Just like, I want to hop on stuff so I can hear what they're saying, so I can learn. Because it's like, we have access to hop on any call. Wow. It's like, do you want to hop on this one? It's about so-and-so. That might sound boring, but it's good for me to know about our business.
That's cool.
And Paul and Rupert are great at it. They love that side of it.
That's
so
cool.
I lean on them a lot as far as those decisions. And then we kind of talk as a band, like, here's what we just talked about. Let's all make a decision together now. But yeah, being able to kind of hire people and lead people is really fun, because that's such a fun opportunity that I don't want to blow. I carry that with so much weight. Like, these people are on our team, so how can we love them well? Yeah, so that's really fun.
I got to go. Well, I got to come back to Jakarta. Sorry, I'm taking over.
Actually, I'm loving this.
I got to go see you in Mexico City, and I think this is a really interesting thing. Was that 2019? I imagine, right? Because that would.
Paul will know that answer. He knows every date.
Because you've been back a couple of times since, but I would imagine it would have been pre-COVID.
I think it was 2019.
Yeah, and one, it was madness, because you had like, even getting you into the car to take you to dinner afterwards was like, for fans everywhere. It was this beautiful venue that isn't open anymore in the middle of the park, which was like super epic. You guys crushed it.
Thank you.
But it was like so fun to see like LANY the artists, but then also get to meet the rest of the crew and just like see LANY as like the extended family, and just how like fun everyone has, and how much love there is for each other and the fans. And like, it is there's a great culture in the band, I think, that you guys set, which it was the first time I got to see it and be around it more concentrated. But it was really a cool experience to see how you guys interact with the fans, but then also how the guys who are behind the scenes interacting with the fans and the crew, and it was just cool and fun to see.
It's
you
cool.
guys do a good job.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I was gonna say, it's really fun too, because Paul and I usually, sound check is usually around 4 or 5, something like that. And it's fun when we have people on our team, like what we look for, because a lot of them I'm like, you guys set the tone for the entire day, because you're in there at 8, 9 a.m. And so it's fun when we got guys that just love the local crew well and that can troubleshoot well. If they troubleshoot and they're just it's a screaming match, that's probably going to be a tricky show, and something that maybe the local crew could have done to help us, they're not going to do because we were rude. So like, the kindness is such a big part for me.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And so just getting to know the guys and what they're about, and just kind of instill that, like, hey, let's crush this and like love this local crew so well, so we can have like a beautiful evening all together.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love that, man.
And we have guys that do that really well, and a lot of them are from Mosaic.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really fun. Like, some of our all-stars have come from Mosaic. That's like, really cool. Taylor Grandy is out with us right now on monitors.
Love Taylor.
And Paul and I talk almost daily, like, dude, can you believe how amazing Taylor is at what he does? And Josh Kottke is my drum tech and one of my best friends. He's just incredible. And John Thomas came out just for 2 weeks, like in 2018 or 2019.
Oh, that's so awesome.
He was just like looking for work. I was like, "Do you want to come out on the road and do some stuff?" And our front of house guy has been with us day one, and so he kind of starts with like searching for people. Then we'll talk about, and I was like, "Dude, check out this guy John Thomas." And John Thomas has been like our standard for hard work, and he was just with us like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Because he was just kind, having fun, just did his job well, There it is.
I'm a big fan of all three of
Yeah,
those guys.
so thank you for creating a beautiful culture.
But I also love that you identify two things. It's like skill and kindness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, character, but kindness even more specifically.
Yeah.
You have to be good at what you do, but you also have to be good while you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and develop an environment where other people are valued and cared for.
Mm-hmm.
And because it solves problems that you don't have.
Yeah.
And people who are unkind create problems that you will have.
Totally.
And so it's not even that they're great at problem solving; they're great at problem eliminating.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
What is it like inside of your brain, like the moment you're walking up and prepping for a show to like when you walk on stage? Like, could you walk us through, if you were to narrate like your walk up to the start of a show,
Oh man.
what would that be like?
I try to keep it as much as when I'm 11 going up to my parents' room just to practice drums, to keep like the pressure there. Because I know like we play the Forum. I'm trying not to think, oh my gosh, this is the biggest show we've ever played and all of our family and friends are going to be. It's like, there's that. But I'm just like, you've did the, 10,000 hours. You've played, I think we play like almost 600 shows now as a band, just LANY.
Jeez.
And so just like, you've done the work, you've prepped, just go out there and execute and have a blast doing it with your friends. So I think in my mind, it's just like, got a little checklist. My main checklist is just like warming up and then just us laughing before we're on stage.
Okay.
Just try to make sure we're always laughing. That's like my favorite thing is laughter.
That's
Because we usually, I'll warm up for a while. If it's like an area that my drum pad's too loud, maybe I'll go to a different room. If it sounds annoying, just like, but we all usually get together 30 minutes before, wherever we are in the arena or club or wherever it is. I hope it's all arenas one day, stadiums. And we just listen to music and we laugh and tell jokes. And so when we just are loose like that, just as like friends and camaraderie, then we're just ready to go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. That's so good. We got to talk about Jakarta. Because when the stage thing happened, you had to cancel the show. I heard there might have been a riot outside?
There were, yeah.
Oh no, tell us about that.
You have
Yeah.
passionate fans.
We got passionate fans.
Super passionate.
They're awesome.
Awesome.
Yes.
So what was the size of the venue in Jakarta?
I think it was about 5,000 to 6,000.
Okay, so context, because you sold out the Forum.
We did.
Man, how many does the Forum seat?
What was that, like 14,000?
Jeez.
14,000. So
Yeah, it's
you
big.
guys have some pretty legitimate
Yeah.
fan base.
It's crazy.
So you're in Jakarta, 5,000 people do not get to see you.
Yeah.
So what happens?
There's videos of like fist fights, like security and people just like trying to jump over barriers to get in and just like scream at us. And
They were mad at you.
they're mad at us, mad at everyone. I remember some of our crew, they were telling us like they got like some really dark DMs because they knew what hotel we're at. And so they were just like, I can't remember what all was said, but just people coming after the whole crew, us, just very unhappy. I mean, rightly so. Just like a show that, because a lot of times in some of these countries, people, poverty is real out there, and it's like they like are waiting a year to save up and get a ticket to our show, and so that if it gets axed, they're like, "What's happening?" So just anger.
And sometimes we forget the word fan comes from fanatics.
Yeah,
And people can become pretty intense when they're fans.
yeah.
I think it's such a unique thing though that people would have such a visceral reaction to something that you guys do and care about it so much. Like I look at the other side, I'm like, man, I feel for the fans who didn't get to see you. You know what I mean? And I love that people care about what you guys are doing.
So did they come back the next day to the matinee?
Yeah.
Which that's also crazy. Was that not just the most exhausting day to play two shows?
No, you
back
weren't
to back?
tired, were you?
Maybe at the end of the night.
But not during it.
Because it's funny because all that happened the night before, and Paul and I are like, well, I hope everyone's okay and things are going. But we're like, but this is kind of awesome. There's so much hype.
So fun.
We're like, hope everyone's okay.
Yeah, you want everybody safe? I'm
Yeah,
excited.
want everyone safe. But the next two, I just remember it being super fun. I was like, I can't believe we get to play two shows. We did that. We've done that in the Philippines, where playing in malls is a big thing. And one year we went out and we did 5 mall shows, and we did 2-a-days.
Oh my
Wow.
So we would play a mall, tear it down, go play the next mall. Did that the next day, and then I think the following day just won. But that was,
so that moment in Jakarta, which movie are you? Are you a Michael Bay movie where you feel like is everything going to blow up? Are you a Tarantino movie going, I got this, I'm Kill Bill? Or are you like a Ridley Scott movie? And
What do you mean?
You know, what's the feeling that you have when you go on stage? Because it could almost be like, a moment where you're going, this is so real, I can't believe we're getting to do this, or this is overwhelming, or we got this.
Yes. I would say, what's the Adam Sandler movie where he's going off?
Adam Sandler?
Where he's like remember the basketball players? He's like the jeweler. Chaos. What's that one
Uncut
called?
Gems.
Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
I felt like Uncut Gems.
Just madness, Matt. That I've never been more stressed out in a movie. So a high anxiety moment for you.
Not so much for us, but maybe just the overall feeling felt like Uncut Gems. But yeah, Paul and I are like, let's go crush it.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I think there has to be something in your personality. I mean, you're quiet, you're understated, you have no ego need to be seen in a room, but you have to have a level of, I got this, to be able to play at your level night after night after night in these massive venues where people have high expectations. They expect greatness from you guys, and there has to be a sense of, we can do this, we got this.
Yeah. Paul and I love a good challenge. And it's trickier for Paul as a lead singer, connecting with, like, we just played China, and the rules and regulations there are still very strict.
Did you have to change any of your lyrics?
Yes. In China, we did in Malaysia.
Oh, wow.
And then China, it was like a 3,500 seated venue, and fans weren't allowed to stand up from their seat. Got to butt in your seat.
Wow.
And then like our tour manager came back and was like, okay, here's the list of things you can't say or do from the stage. And for me, I'm just like, I just get to go play drums. It's fun. They're like, you have to wear a shirt. So I'm like, wear a shirt and play drums.
I thought.
Now, sometimes you don't wear a shirt.
Sometimes I don't. They're like, I was like, oh, it's gonna be so tough. But for Paul, it's like, you can't like encourage people to stand up. You can't say, so there's just like a lot of things. And so we're like, our goal here is just to like get invited back. So let's just like honor their rules and just crush the show. And I was really proud of them, because that's hard for a singer to connect when people are just sitting.
Did you feel a loss of energy when people are just sitting the whole time? Or did you feel the energy still filled the room?
You felt it because you felt them want to jump out of the seat.
Oh, that's kind of incredible.
It was pretty emotional. One girl ran down the aisle and threw a flower at Paul. And we're like, oh. So it was like these people like wanted.
It took so much courage for her to do that.
And
really.
people were like standing up and raising their hands, and security would go down and be like, sit down, sit down. And so we didn't know if they were going to be like this the whole time, but they were like wanting to have the time of their life. And so it was like pretty awesome to see.
It's really special.
Yeah.
It's really special.
That's what's cool about playing shows. Like every place is different. That's like the beauty of live music. Every single show is different.
Do you have a city that is particularly your favorite city around the world that you've been to, whether to play in front of fans or just a city that you enjoy? Maybe both.
We're really excited to go back to Brazil.
Okay.
Yeah, because we've always heard like bands, like they love bands and they're like really passionate, and they are. Because we played I forget what year. I'll have to ask Paul. Phone Paul. I think 2017 or 18. We played this festival, Lollapalooza, and we got to play. They had like where's it? Sao Paulo, Buenos Aires, and Santiago.
No Rio?
No Rio on that one.
Wow.
But so we're playing in Brazil. We're like, oh my gosh, here we go. We finally get to play Brazil. And we're in the middle of our second song, and like people are storming from other stages to come see us, and we can like see them running down. We're like, this is awesome. And then in our in-ear monitor, someone goes, everybody stop the show right now, get off the stage. We're like, what? And they're like, you got to just stop playing. We're like, okay. And a storm was coming in, and so we only got to play 1.5 songs.
No.
Oh. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was our first experience, but Paul and I were so bummed because we could feel like what everybody's talking about with the Brazilian fan base.
So you have to go back.
But we went back and almost missed that show because we were stuck in Argentina on a flight because of weather.
Oh no.
And we almost had to land and take a helicopter to the venue just to make it. But we were able to land early enough to where we made it just in time for the show.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we love South America, Latin America. It's like, because we haven't played there as much as other places.
Okay.
Like Manila is one of the craziest places in the world. Like the fans there are amazing. And we play our biggest shows there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, like going to Mexico and stuff, like we just love that.
It's so you guys are
hopefully El Salvador one day.
El Salvador would be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be fun.
But there's just so many questions in my mind, even just about how you developed the level of mastery that you have, and do you ever get bored of playing the drums?
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Do you love practice as much as you love performing?
No. Yeah. I did. I love it because I had I love it because I got to obsess over it in practice when I was younger for years and years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And now like rehearsal, I'm just like, oh man, I know we have to do this, but I just can't wait to the performance, because it's like that's your one shot with the crowd. Here's your hour and a half to see what happens. And there's something clicks in me when it's the performance that just kind of elevates something and unlocks something in me. But I know rehearsal and practice is important.
Well, are you practicing the exact song the way you're going to perform it, or are you sometimes practicing developing new skills on the drums?
Early on, new skills for sure. And nowadays, maybe I'm practicing the foundation of it to see when the performance happens. Okay, I've got the foundation. Now let's see where it goes from the bags of tricks I have or something.
How do you know when you're over drumming?
Ooh, good question, because I can't wait to talk about my teacher, Chester, who I went to see. I played in a jazz combo with him, or he was the teacher and I was the drummer. And he just said, okay, so you're in a jazz combo. He said, I want you to be able to sing back every part that every musician's playing. And if you can't, then you're not listening well. And so I try, if I can't hear what everybody's doing and I can't like sing it back in my head, then I'm overplaying.
So you're not just thinking about the drums.
Yeah, that's why like in our intermix, I got to hear everything because I want to know what everybody's doing, because you feed off each other. And that's like my favorite musicians, like especially live records. Something that's not on the recorded record goes to a whole new place live because they're just listening to each other.
I never knew that to be a great drummer, you had to be a great listener.
Oh yeah, in my opinion, for sure.
Who are some of your favorite drummers out there in the world?
Oh my gosh, we could have like 900 podcasts on this one. Ooh. Well, my number one is Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh,
Okay.
I just saw a video on TikTok yesterday where, have you seen this thing online where they bring in these like legend drummers and they show them like a pop song or
Yep.
just completely different genre of a song?
He did 30 Seconds to Mars.
He 30 Seconds to Mars,
Yeah.
and they don't tell them what the song is. They
Yeah.
just play the song, and I think they play it without drums.
Yeah,
So
without
that-
drums, so you don't hear the original track.
So you
Oh, wow.
only hear like all the other instruments and the singer, and they kind of like they let the drummer play what they would play on the track, and then they play the thing back with both drum like
Yeah.
and they kind of like see like, oh, like did you guess it right or did you do something different, right?
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
Oh yeah.
He's insane.
Mm-hmm.
His ability to I think he almost like matched it perfectly.
He did. Yeah.
And-
He was very close.
And at the end, he was like, wait, like, what song is this? And they're like, 30 Seconds to Mars. He's like, oh, Jared's band. Sick. He's like, yeah, once I figured out the time signature, like, but then I figured the rest of it out. And I was like, oh my goodness. But why is he your favorite drummer? Sorry.
I love it because a lot
story.
of people think, because Red Hot Chili Peppers are one of my favorite because their style and they're just danger on stage. They're just crazy. And I love it. But I think he's,
So they were more like very special guests.
yes, definitely Chili Peppers inspired. I used to set up my drums kind of like him. He had this cymbal that he would set up like this vertical and just like, and I would just like copy him. But it's funny because at the beginning it was more because he just played with so much attitude and he was just wild and I just loved it. But now having played for 25 years, I think he's one of the best listeners ever because
Wow.
their show, I've never seen a show that's that different every single night. They'll come out and they just start a new jam, but they follow each other because they listen well to each other. It's like John Frusciante, Flea, and Chad Smith, the rhythm section, and they just follow each other so well, and they like take it up together and they bring it down together just because they like they respect each other and they listen well. So he's number one, and then I could go for hours and hours about others.
But it just shows. I mean, I know I have a bias, but when you play the drums, even at Mosaic, I have a visceral experience. It's just different. Like, we have a lot of good drummers, but you're world class. And when you play, it says something to me. I mean, it feels as if the drums speak. And it just has never connected to me that you were listening. I think in my mind, you're sort of in your head playing, doing what you do.
Yeah.
And it just seems to me so much more communal, more powerful when I realize, no, you're absorbing what everyone else is saying and translating that through the drums. And And that's, to me, really beautiful.
Thank you.
I have a very bizarre question, I guess, it's just out of nowhere, but do you think Karen Carpenter was a great drummer?
Oh yeah, she's a stud.
From the Carpenters?
Of course.
Yeah.
Rainy days of Monday.
No.
I'm a bad
always
judge
get me
too,
down.
because if any song has any kind of radio play or a band that's playing big shows, it's working. The drummer's doing something right. They're carrying it enough to where people are listening and moving and feeling something. And so anybody that knows of a band and they're like, what do you think of the drummer? I'm like, they're awesome.
I just thought to me it was interesting because, you know, I was never a Carpenters fan in terms of the music was a little too soft for me, you know. But then when you get behind that and you realize, oh, she's like a world-class drummer.
Yeah.
And talent so oftentimes comes across as simplicity, you know. And then when I hear you play, it's not that you're playing more than the other drummers that I've heard. Sometimes it's dramatic how much less you're playing.
Yeah.
It just translates into a deeper feeling.
Yeah.
And is there a way that you navigate that to know what actually carries a deeper emotion and what is white noise?
Yeah, definitely started from just overplaying and just being like VSG, we're all up there just doing whatever. We're listening and we're feeding off each other. But I'm also like, ooh, I practiced for 6 hours today, so I got to do something I practiced today. and then I moved to Nashville and went to Belmont, and some teacher just changed my life. He said, like, I would play something, he'd just be like, I can just hear you thinking about what you want to do next. He's like, and I just learned so much about, he's just like, let's just talk about how we serve the song. And so ever since then, it just kind of changed my approach just to serve the song, serve the artist. And that's what I love, because I got to play drums for a lot of people in Nashville. And I just was so excited. I was like, I just want to be like the best hired gunner they've ever had, because I just listen well and I want to serve the song and not make it about me. Because I feel like when I got to Nashville, I was like, all right, I'm going to count you in. And then I would start doing a drum solo in my head. Just like, let's make it about me. Listen to what I can do.
Because you toured with Jars of Clay for a while. And I actually remember Mariah actually went and sang at a Jars of Clay concert.
That's our
as
connection.
an opening.
Mariah toured with them for a little bit.
Yeah. I remember that. And because I traveled with her during that little span. But it's interesting when you say that, because when you write, the editing process is really serving the reader. You know, when you first write, you're serving yourself.
Yeah.
It's the editing that serves the reader.
Yeah.
And taking out everything that is important to you, but really isn't fundamentally necessary for the reader. It actually gets in the way of the book.
Totally.
And one of the hardest things as a writer is to cut everything I cut, I loved.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm just taking out
That's funny.
meat. I'm not cutting fat, I'm cutting meat out of it. And I have to convince myself it's not about how the book speaks to me, it's about how the book will speak to the person who reads it. And it's the same way with a message. A lot of times a person's talk will go so long because they have to say everything they think.
Yeah.
And so they say so much more than what everyone needs. And it's really hard as a communicator to go, these 30 minutes or this 45 minutes or this hour, it's not about what I need to say, it's what they need to hear. It seems like it's the same process.
Yeah, there's 3 drummers. I know it's not a drummers podcast, but I'd love to highlight there.
Today it is.
And U2 and Coldplay, world champion for Coldplay, Larry Mullen Jr., 2 of my favorite drummers ever, because those guys just play exactly what is needed for that song. And it is just like, and what another thing I love when we're in the studio and we're like writing drum parts or doing something, I just love thinking about, can a 4-year-old sing it back to me when I'm playing? Is it that simple enough? Because I love like a lot of Coldplay and U2, anybody can sing along with the drum tracks. The Phil Collins drum fill in The Air Tonight, most of the world can play that because it's so singable, so simple, but so powerful. Wow. Phil Collins is another hero.
Yeah.
And then Meg White from the White Stripes.
Oof.
See, people think like, oh, no. And I'm like, she is amazing.
She's amazing.
Because she just played what was perfect for the White Stripes.
Oh.
So
she played it with so much style,
so much attitude. Yeah, it's so good, so loose. Like in high school, I played in marching band where it's all precision. You all match stick height, you match everything. And then I was like, okay, marching season's done, so I need to go listen to some really loose music. So I got like bands like Stone Temple Pilots, White Stripes, like these bands that just like the drummer, it sounds like he's playing to an arena because it's just like so open and loose, but it's just perfect for the song. I just love drummers like that.
Yep. So you did drumline in high school?
Oh yeah.
Did you do all 4 years?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
I loved it.
So you guys would
I
play
still
like
love it.
football games, basketball games, the whole thing?
I almost went to University of Arkansas just for 1 year so I could march during the football games, just so I could be there and play drum set in the basketball games. But I was like, I need to go to Nashville.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
It just seems to me, one, I didn't know you were on drumline. That's kind of amazing. And it seems to me though that there's like a flavor of jazz in your drumming, even when you're with LANY, which you would think of more as, I guess, like pop. And yet when I'm listening, I feel it's almost like I feel like you have a pop sound with a jazz undertone or something.
Cool.
And I mean, do you have a pretty strong jazz background or?
Yeah. And at college, the drum majors, you had to play in like jazz combos, and that was my favorite thing. And I love, one of my other favorite things on tour, if I can go find a jazz club, I'm so set. Especially in New York, there's so many spots.
So many cool spots.
And one time Mariah and I, she was working out there with Arturo, and we went to, we were going to this Mexican spot, and we were just walking around, and there was a trio set up on a rug on the street outside of like this brewery.
That's cool.
And I was like, hold on, stop for a second. And it was like one of my favorite jazz drummers. His name's Ari Honig. And he was just out there on the street playing. And I was just like,
that's crazy.
Mariah was like trying to touch me. Like I couldn't focus. It's like, let's go. And I'm like, hold on. But that's what I love. I just love every kind of drummer. Chad Smith, bombastic, huge, jazz, tiny, playing this like the smallest like loudness.
Yeah, so subtle.
I love dynamics. And so jazz is like the best in that. It's like someone can play so quietly, but it be powerful, and then pick their moment to go way big with it. So I just love the taste.
So does any of your personality translate in your style of drumming?
Yeah.
All right, so talk to me about that.
Yeah, how would you describe your style?
Yeah.
Of playing
We want to
drums?
know what
gosh.
the Jay Goss style is.
Ooh, I don't know.
What are kids going to be emulating 10 years from now when they're
Oh,
playing Jay
man.
Goss?
Good question.
And it's okay to talk about yourself,
My style.
which I know you desperately try not to do.
I would say, because I like the Coldplay foundation where he served the song, but in a cool and quirky way.
Cool and quirky way. I think that actually really does
Define his
describe-
personality?
Yeah.
Cool and quirky?
Cool and quirky, but very, 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 very masterful and intentional.
Very intentional.
Because
Very
you're
intentional.
the few times I've seen you kind of do what you do, you're so specific.
Yeah, if
And
I
it almost doesn't look like it, and that's how like natural it is. But I know you're like up there.
Yeah. If I have a show where I'm like, I played that song and I didn't have a lot of intention in it, that it just eats me up. I'm like, I wasn't all there that one. That's not okay. Because that's not how I want it, like every note to be so intentional.
It's cool.
Thanks for saying intention. I like that.
How often? You're welcome. I got your back. How often do you ever change it up from what's on the record to a live show?
Every show.
And do you ever change it up from practice and just throw a little like the band from a for a
practice?
little
I feel
loop?
like it's more the foundation. Do we know like where we want to take the song and like how to do it live? Do we have the foundation where we want to go? And then live, it's like, I think it's because like the Chili Peppers and bands where I'm just like, they just every night's so different. That's so fun. I don't want to go out there and do the exact same thing. Leave my family to do the exact same thing every single night. It's like I want to go just let it be a new, beautiful thing every time.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
That's very cool. We've been doing this for like 50 minutes, so I just wanted to say we're probably gonna wrap
I just have
this
to
up.
throw something in on the side
Okay.
here. Just watching the interaction of this. This is our first guest, first interview.
I'm mind blown. Not because I knew you were always going to be special, and I'm so grateful. And we've waited for a while to ask you because I know we've wanted to do this for a long time. But like you have just so much insight, and the way you see the world through drumming is just
Thank you.
one of my favorite things.
Well, I was going to say something a little bit different.
Well, yeah, say whatever you want.
No, it's that the skill that you bring by listening to be a world-class drummer. I've been observing over this conversation with you, Aaron. You're a world-class interviewer.
Thank you.
because you really pay attention and listen. And I found myself just watching and listening and
Thank you.
going back and forth, going, how's he able to get there so fast? And then it really was a beautiful thing to observe. And I feel like I'm gonna have to get better
No.
at this.
No.
But I just love this. It's been really wonderful to watch and to experience.
It's been fun.
Oh, I hope you come back. Please come back.
Absolutely.
Because I like, honestly, you're one of the most, because I just love the time we get to spend together. But you're just like a mystery to me in so many levels. because you are someone who's like, you are introverted, you're chill. Oftentimes it's Mariah making you like, Jake, tell him what you really think.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or like I'll ask you, and you just give like, you're just the easiest person. Well, you know, I just think I look back at all of our experiences. So this has been awesome because I'm like, I've got him locked down for 50 minutes. I'm gonna grill him.
Can I add one thing too?
Yeah, of course.
Because I love that you asked about favorite drummers, but when people ask about like advice, I love being so inspired by everything not drums. Like you're talking about drums and stuff, and at church, I'll be inspired to do something by the way Mariah leads a song or what she says before it. I'm like, ooh, that's gonna take me to a new place. And so I'm so inspired by everything not drums too. So it's like, sometimes if I can't hit the practice room, it's like, okay, maybe I'll read something, I'll listen to a podcast, I'll do something that doesn't have anything to do with music, and then I get behind the kit and something new comes out of me just because I like leaned into something that's so different than drums. So that's random.
That's such good advice.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat the continuing conversation that I was having this past week at Mosaic, saying, I love the scriptures, but I also love physics, and I love sports, and I love math, and I love all these other things. And when people want you to just be informed by one thing, you're really limiting yourself.
Yeah.
You know, if people just thought, oh, Jake is just a drummer, he only thinks about drumming, he only lives for drumming.
Yeah.
You know, and they really wouldn't see a comprehensive view of who you are as a great husband and a great dad and a great family member and a great human and interested in life and interested in so many different things. And then that translates to the creativity that you bring to the kit.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's why I'm so excited about the arena. We're just gonna like be a better band and then be better musicians just from hearing from great people. It's fun.
Thank you.
Hey, Jake, thank you so much for being our first guest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy it was you.
I hope I made you proud.
No, you did.
Oh,
Thank
absolutely.
you. Thank you. I'm so excited. And you leave. Oh, wait, hold on. We have one last thing. You have a new record coming out this Friday. We
do.
cannot
Oh,
forget to
you
talk
do?
about that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Of course, you have to talk about that.
Yeah.
This will release on Friday.
Yes, this is releasing
The
on this
day
Friday.
of your album's release. Tell us about it.
Crazy. And you'll love this. So a month ago, our record for the longest time was called I Really, Really Hope So. And the cover was Paul and I doing some kind of pose. We love the photo. And we went to, when we were in Tokyo, this is another fun thing. I go out about maybe 2 times a tour. I just like, I'm usually like show ends, shower, call Mariah, in bed.
Yeah.
It's just because I've learned where I'm my best, where I operate at my best, and it's like getting sleep. But it's like but you got to go out and just camaraderie at night too, because like we hang during the day, but it's like just go have fun when you're not on the clock, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we all went to this bar called Grandfather in Tokyo, and it's a vinyl bar.
Oh, sick.
And every time they switch a song, they put the vinyl sleeve of the song up on this pedestal. So you're looking at the vinyl of this song.
Wow.
And Paul was like, hey, Jake, don't be mad at me, but I don't think I see our album up. Like, I don't see it playing and that being the album cover. I'm like, I don't either. And so in that moment, we're like, should we just switch our album cover and the album title? And so it was fun. And that was like 4 weeks ago.
Wait, so what was it before?
I really, really hope so.
And then it was like the star.
It was a star
Yeah.
in the corner. And now it's called A Beautiful Blur, which was the original title. I remember telling you that a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was the original title, but as we make a record or just throwing things out there and just seeing if it sticks. And we really thought I Really, Really Hope So was it for a while, but just something that night, and I'm so glad that I went out. I was like, I could just been in there, but I was like, no, this is a perfect night just to hang with everyone. And then we changed our album cover, and it was fun. Like the next 3 weeks, like Rupert, a guy on our team, Steve, they did like all the behind the scenes work. Is this possible to do? Because now we're independent as a band. If we were with a label, they'd have been like, nope, can't happen in that
'cause
amount of time.
marketing and the whole
But
thing
it's
will-
like, hey, let's really lean into this. Is the first time we're independent. Let's change our album title and the cover. Paul had this awesome photo of like a lamp, and he just kind of tweaked it to this beautiful blue, and people can kind of put their own story behind it. Like, is that the moon? Is that like from an airplane window? We love that people put their own thing to it.
That's cool.
And so now our album's called A Beautiful Blur, and it comes out Friday.
That's amazing. A beautiful blur.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Super fun.
exciting.
Wonderful.
So if you're listening to this podcast right now or you're watching us on YouTube, go and check out A Beautiful Blur by LANY. It comes out the day this podcast comes out. So don't miss it. Go check it. Go save it. Go to, is it LANY.com?
This is LANY.com.
This is LANY.com, and go and check out the merch, do the whole thing.
Yes.
And go support the band.
Thank you.
Awesome. Jake, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We love you.
Oh, thank
Love
you
you
so
guys.
much, man.
Woo.
Oh.